Well, let's get ready for some comics because we're only doing one book this week because someone forgot to do their
Also, I don't
homework.
want to fucking do that.
Whoa! Well, we're gonna be talking about a comic that we both read this week, Punisher #9. Bang.
It's time for the Punisher review of the week.
Number 9.
Number 9, which is by
Jason Aaron.
Jason Aaron, Jesus Saiz, and Paul Azuquita. Last issue, I believe, if I'm not mistaken,
He
ended with the Ares going through the thing, and he was like recasted into bullets.
Yeah, he recasted the dagger into bullets. Ares breached the gates. He had those Punishers that had their families murdered.
Let's do it the way we normally.
You just drop it.
God damn it!
Come on.
But yeah,
he's
so
ready to fight because he's fully accepted the beast at this point.
Yeah.
He has his personal guard with him. They fight. So this fight with Ares is really great. But before we even get there, we finally get a response from the Marvel
universe proper.
Yeah, the whole MU.
We've seen Daredevil come into the picture and blah and stuff, and
Daredevil's pretty much informing a stranger, like, "Hey, it's worse than we thought." Like,
yeah,
he's
but is it a
accepting the
stranger?
beast. And then we see a schnicked.
Schnickedy,
That's his intro.
Should I call you
Everybody
Logan
else
Weapon X?
Has songs, but he has schnickety.
Schnickedy.
Bub. And that's the thing.
I'm the best I do. I'm the best there is at what I do, and what I do isn't very nice.
Zip.
Thank you, Frank Miller. Let's go. He wrote that.
So we immediately jump into the conflict and the explosions, and it's Maria. It's the priestess again. It's from Maria's perspective. Frank never liked to talk about war, even when things seemed better between us. When his walls locked in like they were tumbling down, and she's like, it was his mistress. So this beginning part makes it seem like, Frank was continuing the theme of this book of like, Frank was always meant to be this killer. He, and she said like he loved it, that it was his mistress. And then later in the book, it's kind of flipped on its head, and it's like I felt like I was the mistress.
Yeah.
And then it even gets twisted again, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this book, man?" And I love it. It's done in a way that is I think interesting by adding to the lore of this character, and also kind of playing with retconning, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Well,
but so anyway, it's just Ares and
going along with what you're saying is, I talked about this a couple issues back. About how much better the book gets when it starts following Maria's point of view and her thoughts on Frank, right? That one issue that was pretty much her talking about being afraid of him.
Yeah.
Like it was mostly flashbacks, if you remember. I think it was like 6. Yeah. And this we're going to get into even more because, at the beginning of the book, even when we first started reviewing this book, we talked about how his wife and kids were always just accessories to his origin.
Yeah.
They were
always a means to an end.
People knew Maria's name, but other than that, right? But, not to put too fine a point on it or to sound like a dick, but mostly it was like, who fucking cares? The fact is that they're dead and they got killed by the mob.
It's his canon event.
Yes, right. And this book takes the rest of the world and how they viewed people who have usurped in real life these shitheads who've usurped this Punisher logo for really shitty things. That's the Punisher in this book. All those guys who usurp and put it on their cop cars, all that shit. That's the Punisher in this 12-issue series. And Maria is the rest of us going, what the fuck? And it is becoming more and more in this issue that we're seeing her kind of be like what, she's talking about how she is just as much of a human being as anybody.
So the narration of her talking about going to bars, like she was sneaking out at night, finding out where he was going, and going to these bars and hearing these war stories.
Yeah.
And then hearing like how much of a war hero Frank was.
Right.
And to have that caption going and doing it in a way that is so...
Is this the one where they show him beating up the guy?
When he's well, it's him killing Ares.
Right, but is there a flashback in here, or is that a previous issue? No, never mind. That's one coming up.
But to have that narration and then also follow it with him fighting the god of war, and winning because he's accepted this gift, and like the whole fight with him and Ares is so good because it's so brutal, it's so visceral, and he
finally shoots him and stops.
Oh my God,
he stops Ares for like the first time since the book is open, really.
Yeah.
The first time Ares has been like, oh, wait a fucking second. Now this is the Frank that I know.
So yeah, we see Ares get shot, and then it's Frank in the air with fire coming around him, almost looking like wings. Like this, he has fully become the beast. The fist of the hand, he has accepted the beast.
Yeah. The gifts of the beast.
Yeah, so then she would say that they would change their tone when they would talk about the war stories, and they like penitent men who'd seen the light of God on the road to Damascus. That's when they tell stories of Frank.
Yeah.
And that shows him again shooting Ares. And then we have the flashback of what I think is really great about this. It is this book where even I was like talking about retconning and thinking it was retconning, and then you were like, wait a minute, is it? And even in this book, in this issue, Aaron fucking toys with the idea of retconning his whole entire origin.
This part in the book,
to prove a point. But then Aaron puts another stamp on it, says, this is still my definitive response to the character. This is the definitive answer, and I'm keeping his fucking origins in there.
Dude,
I am telling you, this is an evolved Frank. This is where Frank ends. Like, it was so fucking good.
This issue, more than anything, I think, is...
Because the whole idea is the hand orchestrated the attack.
I remember reading... can I say it?
Because they keep saying that...
Yeah, I remember reading, because they've previously showed, obviously, and toyed with the idea that the priestess has been around forever in his life, right?
Yes.
Since the beginning. And they toy with the idea. I start reading this, and it's like I'm reading this, and I see where it's going and everything, and I'm like da 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 da, and she says, we must murder his entire family, and I'm like, what is he doing, right?
Yeah.
But it's so brilliant because he goes like, no.
She says no, that we cannot interfere with his path to the beast. We cannot interfere with this.
It has to happen the way it's supposed to happen.
We can't influence prophecy.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So fucking
Which
good.
is a great answer for Aaron to be like, no, motherfuckers, I'm going to keep his continuity. I'm keeping all of this character in. I'm adding to it, and then I'm putting a definitive end on it. Because to me, quite honestly, I think what attracts me so much to this story, and I know it's not the end because I'm pretty positive there's a fucking Punisher series going on right now at Marvel because these characters never stay dead. But I love the idea that Aaron is kind of just going for it and saying, like, this is my definitive, because he's written for Punisher before, and I truly feel like this was his, like, permanent, like, this is what I have to say about Frank. Like, this is it. And... It's such a like fun way of being, again, just saying like, I'm not gonna retcon anything. I'm keeping it, and he makes such an important part of that in the first issue when you see the introduction, the title page, where it's that big splash of every version of the character, and it's again continuing that thing of like, no, we're going to add to it and reiterate.
Yeah.
So Maria is in the pit with the with the beast. Oh yeah,
Black Widow.
Black Widow shows up. She's got a dossier saying like, no, it's worse than we thought. Like,
but she's talking to Captain America. So far we've seen Wolverine and Daredevil talking about him, and now we're seeing Captain America and Black Widow talk about him. And Captain America's basically like, I never wanted to have to do this, but if we got to take him down, man, fucking, I knew that was always a possibility.
Yeah. Well, Steve says, I think the old soldier inside me had always held out hope that Frank could be saved. Suppose it's time that soldier accepts defeat. Let's get this over with. So even Steve is like, okay, I know what Frank is capable of. Yeah, we can't let him have fucking superpowers. It's pretty much what he's saying. Like, all right, I hate to be this way, but some people just don't deserve, should not have superpowers.
There's kind of between Captain America and Punisher. The thing was, I remember reading this one series, this Punisher series, where it was it's after the death of Captain America in the book or in the comic books. He got killed. And then he got resurrected, like way back in the late 90s or something like that. And Punisher actually wore a type of Captain America uniform, and Bucky and I can't remember who else, but I think Falcon, and they came after him because they were like, "You can't be doing that." And he's like, "Well, I respect this guy more than anybody else." Yeah. So Captain America and Punisher have a kind of grudging respect. But obviously, Captain America does not go in for killing people. I don't know why he's never, in the comics, really just gone after him. But
so then we come back to Ares.
Suppose he's probably busy saving the world.
So Ares and Frank are fighting. So and again, it's back to the Maria narration talking about how revered he is. So what I love about it is they're in the air fighting, and the caption says over the years they'd begun to doubt what they'd seen with their own eyes. They'd been given a glimpse of some sort of mythological a creature, as he's again punching Ares, beating Ares in this fight. Frank Castle fully unleashed in a state of war, a god among men. And then, of course, clearly laying it on that this is going to be it. We're not going to toy. I think Aaron, even in this...
He explodes his fucking hand at one point.
I think at this point of the issue, Aaron is we have got to have these two fucking fight. We can't.
Because they already had
nice twist.
They already had a tease
they had
earlier.
A great fight in issue 6. So it's we had.
But Ares kicked his ass.
And I'll be honest, this is what this book does, and how well written it is. It's I was bloodthirsty, man.
I'm rooting for Frank.
I want to see him fucking kill this guy. I want to see him brutally murder him. When it gets violent, I'm like, oh fuck! When they're fighting and he's got him down, he's punching, and it's just the fucking art, the fucking writing, the narration, the storytellers.
You can feel the wet fucking clap of the fist against the skull.
The storytelling all felt a sense of awe that having been to him in action, and it shows Ares punching him and there's blood flying up. And then it says profound gratitude for having Frank as their savior as he catches his fist and then explodes his fist with his fucking
because that was one of his gifts powers. Yeah, whatever, last issue.
So we see Ares coming up with a stump, and then he takes the gun that has the dagger that has bullets, shoots the other fucking hand off. So he's just got bloody stumps, and he's still coming at him. And there's this fight, and Punisher finally fucking rips off the chest piece, and he goes, "Frank, I'm proud of," and as he's saying, "I'm proud of you," or he's about to say it, he puts one in his fucking eye and kills him. And it's by the end of that fight, it's such a well-drawn, well-written fight that by the end of it, I was like, fuck. Yeah. It's I needed a cigarette.
Anybody got a cigarette?
Yeah, and and then the scene when he's fucking, I love how this, again, I just love how this is paneled, because it's paneled in one long wide shot, but then there's other panels in between it. Right. It's a 2-page splash, but then there's panels into the bite. I just love how that looks, because it shows him walking back after defeating Ares, just flames coming,
and
red
all
flames.
the Ares dudes are bowing to him.
They said, "Bless the new god of war, bless the war," and he fucking burns them
alive,
just because.
He told them last issue. He said, "None of you will leave this forest alive," and they didn't believe him.
The biggest shocking, crazy moment of this issue, is when
he walks back into the thing, triumphant.
Priest is talking to him, and then the hand kind of pushed away, no, make way, get out of the way. And she says, Maria says, a thing I could see him was trying to walk away from in order to be with his family. Walking out of that bar after hearing those stories, I realized I never loved my husband more. And she's got this corset on, and she's like, welcome home, my love. And is she's into it. She's fucking into it. And this whole series up to this point, You are questioning everything about Frank. You're questioning everything about Maria. You're questioning everything about their relationships. To even be at this point where you think they don't belong together, and then he fucking pulls that on you at the end of this book. When Frank has become the Punisher, is the new god of war. Like,
he's got his
big moment,
queen.
and now she's his queen, and she accepts him as his. It's like,
And
but
the last fucking panel, the last page of the issue,
and
though.
And now we know, okay, we're at to the point in these last 3 issues, the main MCU, main Marvel canon is like, okay, now we got to fucking deal with Punisher again. We got to kill a god.
Yes, yeah. The last the last page is how do you solve a problem like Frank Castle, and Moon Knight is also involved. So you basically got Doctor Strange, Captain America, Wolverine, Moon Knight, and Black Widow are all going to have to take them down, and it's an interesting group of Marvel characters. But other than maybe Ghost Rider, I think that's about right. Those are the ones most qualified.
Yeah,
probably capable.
It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, fucking shit.
Can't wait.
Fucking shit.
Can't wait.
Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.